Everybody, Michael here from Replica Airguns, and I've got a nice one here. This one's really growing on me. It's not your standard AR, which is kind of nice. We review a lot of ARs. Nothing wrong with ARs. They're pretty popular, obviously. American, gun used in military, police. But this one's more of a British gun. It's kind of interesting. So it's the G&G L85 A2, so it's actually the A2, it says right here on it, it's the A2 version, whatever that, actually right here, A2. It's probably a specific model, and it's the ETU, Airsoft AEG rifle, and again, it's a carbine. Let's get right into the specifications, but before actually I do that, let's talk about the fact that it is available in our Canada Replica Airgun store. This particular item is not available at the time. This time in the US store. There might be similar products, and if I find something kind of similar, like a very similar Bullpup version of this, I'll put a link to that model, or I'll just link to some AEG Airsoft rifles just so you can go check out what we have in the US store. But I will put links in the description. There will be a field test video coming shortly. I definitely want to test this one out. It looks pretty good. I like the fact that it has simulated AEG blowback action. So let's get right into, the specifications. Why not? There's quite a few, actually. I've got a lot to talk about here. So it's manufactured and distributed by G&G. It is a replica of the SA80 series, so small arms for the 1980s, which is a British family of 5.562 by 45 millimeter NATO service weapons used by the British Armed Forces basically since the late 80s. And again, it's going to be shooting 6mm plastic airsoft BBs. It is an AEG, so it's electric powered, obviously. It does have a simulated blowback action, so this whole little bolt back here reciprocates, giving a slight shoulder tap. Nothing like a gas blowback, but enough that, it's kind of simulated, so that's kind of cool. It's better than nothing, that's for sure. And it does have a lot of metal parts, like almost the whole, the upper and lower receiver. I do talk about it, but essentially your rear and front sight, so this carry handle, which is also a sight, is metal. The magazine is metal. The trigger guard for sure is metal. I'm not sure about the trigger, but I've heard other people say it is. The barrel, the flash hider, all your sling mounts are metal. Most of the mechanical parts, the switches, and of course, any of your pins and screws and all that are going to be metal. It's got a really good weight to it. It feels substantial. It's quite well balanced. It's a nice gun. I mean, it's really nice to hold. It's really nice to look at. It's a beautiful gun, really. Okay, so we got over that. Other parts that are going to be plastic, of course, are going to be your hand guards, your pistol grip. Your butt plate is actually like a rubber, not really plastic. This little cheek rest back here, which I'll show you when we get a little closer into it, is going to be plastic as well. So it does shoot in semi and full auto. You can program it to shoot in 3-round burst. So you have the option of full auto or 3-round burst, depending on your MOSFET programming. And it does have a programmable MOSFET with that ETU system, so electronic trigger unit. It shoots, it basically has a 25,000 high RPM high torque motor. So we're getting to some of the internals here. And it also has a metal gearbox and internals, full metal gearbox with heat-treated metal gear set for durability. And it has an 8mm oilless bushings for smoother gear rotation. So, the price on this guy is a little higher, $600 or so Canadian. So hopefully you're getting, your money's worth with all the additional higher end internal components, and just all the metal parts, and just the build quality in general is quite good. So it does have an adjustable hop-up access via the dust cover, which is typical. It is a single action only trigger. Being an AEG, it's going to be an electric trigger, so that's always a single action only trigger the way I basically point to them. It's not your typical mechanical single action trigger, just an on-off switch, but it's closest to a single action trigger. It does have a cross bolt safety here, pretty easy to access it. Not typical on most rifles, mostly a pistol thing, but that's kind of nice. And it has a metal fully adjustable front and rear sights. So the front one would be for elevation, the rear one would be for windage. There's a peep sight on the back with 2 different apertures for different, if you want a larger target to look at or a smaller target, to look at for more accuracy, or just more, run and shoot stuff, you'd use that wider open one so you just can see that sight a little easier, especially if it's moving around downrange. It does weigh in at 6 pounds, so 2.7 kilograms. The total length is 27.5 inches or 70 centimeters, and it's a 16-inch internal barrel, which is 40.6 centimeters. That's the inner barrel, which basically starts right around here. So it starts around here. This is all kind of for show. So the inner barrel starts kind of right with this notch. Obviously goes to right about here, which is where the magazine feeds in, right about there. So that gives you about 16 inches of internal barrel, 40.6 centimeters. And it has a 450 round high kappa AR style magazine. So if you have any other AEG magazines, they should work just fine. Any AR style AEG magazines should work in here because it's an AR style magazine. And yeah, so 370 to 400 FPS with 0.20 gram airsoft BBs. I've seen some videos. It's shooting around that. Should be right in the middle there. And again, you have that rail on top for attaching a carry handle, which is also in this case is the rear sighting system. So it's your carry handle and rear sight. You could mount an optical sight. You'd probably want to put some sort of a riser on here because you're going to need to definitely get this up. You don't want to be looking down here. You want to be, and this is just like perfect position. With the small aperture, because it's so close, I don't think you'd really want to use the larger aperture. I guess you could, but I think the small aperture works probably, it's going to work for most situations if the target isn't, running around like a crazy jackrabbit downrange, but in most cases you're going to want to use a smaller aperture. It does have metal AR style black flash hider, so this looks like, I'm pretty sure you could just put any AR style one on here. It's nice that it's black and it's not orange, so that's kind of cool. And it comes with sling mount option, so you have a sling mount on this left side that you can take out, and it looks to me like, because it has a spot on both sides, and I'll show you that in a sec, that you can flip it around if you want. So you do have to flip this around, but on the rear you have one on either side, so you don't have to flip anything around if you just want to put a sling mount on whatever side. So lots of sling mount options there. If that's something you're into, like, probably you're going to want to not have to hold this the whole time, so you might want to sling. And yeah, so again, it's reversible on the front, and the rear has the double. It also comes with one magazine. It's a metal magazine. It comes with the manual, the cleaning rod, and it's made in Taiwan. And it also comes with this little cover here for transportation. So you do get the cleaning rod, okay? You do get basically a brochure that's, G&G is trying to sell some of their other stuff. And then you have, well, it is kind of the manual. You scan this, and it takes you to the online version of the manual. So, but it does have a direct scan thingamajig, right? For you to scan it and go directly to G&G's website and get access to the manual for it. So I can't show you the manual, but if you buy this, you'll be able to get access to that and get all the information about how to work this gun, how to use it, all the components, things like that. I didn't go over it too much, but it looks like it's a pretty decent manual. All right, so let's, I'm not really going to compare it to anything. I mean, I guess I could compare it to another Bullpup style gun. Like, we do have another G&G gun. This is the G&G Bullpup shotgun that I've basically done. I'm pretty sure I've done the tabletop review for it. Yeah, I think I have. So I have done the tabletop review for that. So you can check that out, but it's, it's a Bullpup. This is definitely different. It's not a shotgun. It shoots, semi-enfilado as opposed to bursts with that particular model. But let's get back to this. Let's get in nice and close. I want to show you that. I want to plug a battery in and just let you see how it kind of shoots. Now, this is not a high voltage battery. It's just basically, okay, it's a 9.6. So you can obviously use 11.1 volt batteries. I probably want to use that. You're going to get a higher rate of fire with that. From what I've seen with an 11 volt battery, this thing really has a high rate of fire. So it'll be interesting to see what this lower voltage battery does. I still think it's going to be pretty high for a 9 volt. But let's get in here and take a good look. So let's look at it like in its full beauty, right? Hopefully you can see that. I got to get the lighting just right. But again, all metal, like almost everything you see is metal, except for the parts that are obviously going to be plastic, like the guards, the pistol grip, the rubber butt plate. But literally everything else is metal. It's got a really good weight to it. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so there's your metal barrel. There's your front sight that you can spin this, and that's going to raise or lower it, which will adjust your elevation. Now this handguard comes off, and there's an area underneath it for the battery. So you can see here, you pop that up. Now I guess if you had nunchuck style batteries, you might be able to put them in there, smaller ones, without having to open up this bottom section. But if you do have a beefier battery, you're going to have to literally take this bolt out, remove the sling mount, and then you can take this lower this lower handguard off and put your battery in there. So it's a bit of a shame. It'd be nice if there was a no tool way to do that, but in this case you're going to need tools. So that's kind of in one of my cons, is you need tools to get your battery, especially if you have a bigger battery in there. But we'll put a battery in a second. So this handguard comes in the box. You got to put it on, but it's a nice handguard with your peep sights on the back. So hopefully you can see that. You got your peep sights that you can flip, the apertures for whichever one you want. If you take this off, you could put another sighting system on there, but you're probably going to need a riser of some sort just to get it up a little bit, because you can see the whole system is up there, which you need, because when you shoulder it, that's where your line of sight is, right? Now it does have, well, we'll show that other side in a second here. So you do, now mine, it's supposed to have a charging handle here. Mine did not come with it. And I thought maybe it fell off when I did the unboxing, but I looked back at my unboxing and it wasn't on there. It wasn't my fault this time. It's often my fault, but not this time. So you can pull this back, right? And obviously this will open up if you want to get access to, you can pull this back and lock it into place. Hold on, let me just do that right now. So if you push this down while you're pulling it back, it opens up this door and it keeps it open, and then you can just pull it back. So it's nice that it has that. This dust cover, it might pop open when you're shooting, we'll find out, and stay open like a typical AR, but it may not. It doesn't need to open up, I don't think. You do have this rubber butt plate. You've got your magazine here. Magazine release is on the right side. We'll show you that in a bit. But it's your typical AR style high cap magazine with a bit of styrofoam in it. There we go. So it's your typical high cap mag, which you have to spring tension feed, right? So you're gonna have to, do this part way through just to get all those rounds out, obviously. But you could put a mid cap in here that's got the spring that doesn't need tensioning. Yeah, it's probably all you need to see on this side. You can see that there. So you have some markings on it, right? And you also have some markings on there, right? That would basically be like the real steel version, kind of, other than the G&G. I don't think the real steel version comes in a G&G version. All right, let's look at the other side here. So you can see you have your magazine release, okay? Now this is essentially your selector switch for semi and full auto or 3-round burst, okay? And there's your trigger guard. It's all metal, right? That's how you get access to the battery compartment, or one way to get access to it. And there again. Okay, so let's throw a battery on there. I'm not going to actually put it in because that would require a tool, right? So that's the downside, but I can put one on and we can dry fire it and see how this works. So do I have the trigger on? So the trigger, first thing I got to do, I didn't show that. So there's your safety. There's your cross bolt safety right there, okay? So you just push it from either side. I think, yeah, we want to push it towards the left, and then we should have, okay, let's do, it's kind of being weird. Could be my battery. My battery's probably not very good. So that's full auto. It's being a little weird. I think this battery's under voltage, because I'm getting like single tap and double taps. I'm gonna have to get a better battery, I think. I think it likes a higher voltage battery, to be honest, because I'm getting partial taps. So this does open up when you shoot it. Should open up, okay. Yeah, there you go, just like that. Full auto. Yeah, I'm not super impressed with this battery. I think we're gonna have to For the field test, we're going to have to get some sort of higher voltage 11-volt battery in there, see how it does. I'm not that impressed with that battery, but this is a pretty garbagey battery, to be honest. It's actually getting warm just from that. So we definitely need a better battery in here. But just to show you the full auto, again, I've seen this gun shot in like online demos, and with an 11.1 volt, it really has a high basically, what am I trying to say? It has a high rate of fire. So keep that in mind, because that wasn't very impressive. Okay, so let's get into some of the pros and the cons and wrap up this review. I think we've shown you all enough, talked about it enough, other than the pros and the cons. Again, there's quite a bit of pros here to talk about. Let's do that now. So lots of metal in the construction with a super solid weight, feel, and balance. You can use the included handguard sight system or add your own optics or red dot sight on the top rail. So you have some options in terms of mounting optics, obviously. And it works with your popular M4 or AR style, AEG style magazines. So if you want to use a mid cap or high cap magazines or whatever, you can do that. It does have the AEG system with the simulated blowback action. Gives you a little bit of a tap feeling, so it's a little nicer than typical AEG. Not quite as hard, obviously, as a true gas blowback, but still something there for you if you like that kind of thing. It is the Bullpup design, which makes it nice and compact for easy maneuverability. So it isn't super short. I couldn't get this on the table to do the tabletop video, so I'm doing it handheld. But I mean, it does have a long barrel when you consider the fact the barrel comes all the way back to here. So, you know, that's the whole point of these Bullpups, is you get a long barrel in a more compact gun. And in this case, you're getting that as well. All right, so it's not your usual AR setup. So you stand out from the general crowd, the generic AR crowd that's going to all have, you know, some sort of a modded up AR. This is something you can buy, and it's going to look cool and unique without having to throw a bunch of stuff on it to make it your own. It's already kind of your own thing, right? And I really like the look of this rifle with the two-tone green and lots of metal parts. It just looks really nice. You know, maybe a tan would be nice, tan version, but the green version's nice. I don't think there is a tan version. I'd have to look, but I think this is the only one in this particular model. And it does have G&G high quality, you know, build, and typically, even if the higher quality build, you do get it at a lesser price than other high quality guns, but this one is expensive. Like I said, it's about $600. There's a lot of quality components in this one. And even G&G is asking a fair bit of money for it, and they're typically on the lower end of prices. And you can set up the trigger for full auto or 3-round burst, depending on your shooting needs. And no orange tip, although if it did have one, you could easily put your own on there or paint it or whatever you want. But this one comes with a black tip, so that's nice. So a few cons, not a ton of accessories, you know, so because you only really have this top rail. These aren't M-LOK. I don't think you can really add anything. They're not designed to be added onto for any type of accessory. So you don't, you know, it'd be hard to put lasers, tack lights on here unless you had some sort of a mounting option that had side rails. So you could have a riser with a side rail and put a laser tack light on the back here. I guess that's a possibility. The battery, again, is you're going to have to take that handguard off. You're going to need a screwdriver to do it. Not a big deal. If you have a good, you can put a decent sized battery in there, but you do have to take that handguard off. You might get away with a nunchuck without having to do that. So if you have a bunch of smaller nunchuck style batteries, you might be able to get them in there without having to do that. So keep that in mind. And again, it's priced a little bit on the higher side at 600 plus Canadian dollars. Right now, I think it's on sale, but it's out of stock, so that's not going to help you. Maybe it'll be on sale and in stock later. At the time you watch this video, I'll put a link in the description again to find it online in our Canada store. Now, mine was missing the plastic little thingamahing here, the charging handle. You don't really need it too much because it's not something you're going to actually need to charge. It's just going to automatically reciprocate. I wouldn't doubt if you actually had yours, if at some point it's going to come off or break off, because mine didn't even make it to me in the box. So either it got forgotten, and I've looked around, it didn't fall off. I watched the video when I unboxed it. It wasn't on there. It wasn't in the box. Mine just didn't come with it. So that's kind of weird. I mean, especially for a $600 gun. So make sure yours comes with it. If it doesn't, reach out to us and let us know, okay? We'll help you out there. Okay, that's pretty much it. Again, we're selling this in the Canada store. We do have some G&G products in the US store, but not so much, mostly accessories. We do carry the full line as much as we can get in stock here in Canada, though, so we do have a lot of product in Canada, G&G stuff. But we do carry other products in the US as well, other AEGs of various types. So I'll put a link to something similar, if I can find it, in the US store. And keep in mind, we sell air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, pellet guns, blank guns, and other accessories in both our Canada and US stores over at replicateairguns.ca for Canada and replicateairguns.us for the US. Don't forget to subscribe, right? We always like having you back watching more videos. Also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And check out replicateairguns.com where I put articles, post reviews, always put written versions there. Sometimes with more details, sometimes, well, usually with pictures and things too. So if you like to look at pictures over videos, I'll have some nice close-up pictures of this gun there for you to look at as well. All right, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter again, and Instagram. Until next time, let's get this up here. Until next time, take care.